everyone, and welcome to India Sports Space Talks.
And there has to be a sense of ownership from the audience side as well, that yeah, okay, this platform is taking my words or taking my feedback. This is so important.
Today we have with us Arshi Yasin, co-founder at The Bridge, which is one of India's leading digital media companies extensively covering the unheard aspects of Indian sports through both textual and visual storytelling. Today, we discuss content creation strategies in Indian sports. So, why don't you take us through your career path and motivation to start a news platform for Indian sports?
See, the journey has been, what do I say, like growing up in a remote part of India. We play sports at least till class 10th and 12th. I think most of us play sport in one form or the other during our school days. So that spark is was always there. But then, because of lack of proper ecosystem and framework and mindset and a lot of other reasons, we are not encouraged to pursue sports as a career even today in a lot of the parts of the country. So same was with me. I was very much active till my class 10th, which is my high school, and I used to be a very good sports person in running, which is 200 meters and 400 meters. But then, after that, we get into that race of studying class 12th and then engineering. I have studied engineering, by the way. So I did that. After my engineering, I worked in a couple of media companies. So before starting The Bridge, I was working with a media publication which is called The Logical Indian. And there, with a colleague of mine who is now my co founder, his name is Shubhra Ghoshal, we did a massive campaign for India's women's ice hockey team. That was the basically eye opener for The Bridge, if I may say that. So, at the first place, see, knowing that, okay, India has an ice hockey team, that itself was very much overwhelming, because we as a nation, we are so much focused on a couple of sports, primarily cricket. And we did this campaign where we shot a documentary. We went to Ladakh, we traveled, and we interviewed all the girls. These girls train out of Ladakh, and they were in need of a fund to participate in a tournament, Asia tournament. So we did a massive crowdfunding campaign, and we were able to raise an amount of 33 lakh rupees in a span of 8 days, which was like massive considering a sport of ice hockey. We did, and we pulled it off successfully. And then we realized that, okay, there are so many stories in Indian sport, and there is no platform or no publication or no media house which solely focuses on Olympics and lesser known sports, or for that matter, any sports other than cricket. Like for cricket, we have Crickbuzz, we have other entities, but for Olympics and lesser known sports, we don't have a dedicated platform. Although we have Sportskeeda, but then Sportskeeda also focuses on international football and WWE and primarily cricket. So we thought of having a platform which will totally talk about India and pan India, rural, vernacular, everything, so that we don't want to miss out on any story across the country. So that was the idea. And we started The Bridge in September, yeah, around August, September 2017. And it's been 2.5 years of our existence. And to our surprise, right now, the kind of engagement we are receiving from audience, it's massive. I mean, we receive customized. The audience asks us, they request us for customized sports updates for a particular sport, something like archery. There are people who only want to know about what's happening in archery in the country, or taekwondo. So that kind of requests are coming up, which means that there is definitely an appetite for the content, but there was not an organized provider who can give such kind of content in a much more organized way. And this is where Bridge came into picture. And our tagline is bridging the gap in Indian sports, and that is what we are trying to do.
Very inspiring. In fact, I saw a video that the bridge did on Vincent Lakra.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I should say moved me emotionally, and really, really, got me to think about these stories that need to be covered. So, really, kudos to the work that the bridge is doing.
Thank you. And it's and the role of media is very, very, very important for any sport for that matter. And we have identified that spot even for a story like Vincent Lakra. The impact of that story was that after we did this story, this reached out to the sports minister, and I think, Sports Authority have given some assistance to Vincent Lakra, which is such a brilliant outcome. So just doing a story, a video, a documentary is so impactful that it is giving us results.
100%, absolutely. So, since attention is really divisive, and we live in this attention deficit disorder world, what are some creative strategies or trends that can be kept in mind when you're creating such high level content for sports in a consistent manner, or anything that you think goes on to perform better for readers?
See, this we are living in an era where the algorithm of functioning of internet is changing like every day. If you see social networking sites like Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, or Instagram, their algorithms keep on changing, and it's very important being a media company to stay adaptive to that. And if you see, even this form of storytelling has changed so much. Like previously, people were reading long form of articles. Even today, people read, but then there is so much of content, not only in sports, generally around the internet, that it's difficult to get hold of the attention of, as you rightly said, the reader or the audience. So yeah, we do a lot of creative stuff and fun stuff as well at times, because we don't want sports content to be taken as some boring content. And so we do. I'll just give you a couple of examples. Like we have a series called, it's a video series, it's called The Office Games. Okay, like we have released 2 episodes so far, and the first episode was on how to so there was it was around the pronunciation of names which are very difficult of Indian athletes. Okay, so it's fun. Like when you see, it's like a tongue twister thing. So now when people are seeing that kind of content, it's like, okay, we never heard of this particular sports person, we don't know this person is there. So this way we are trying to include fun element as well, so that it stays in the minds of the audience. And another example is we do a lot of quiz and poll on social media, contest, and all of this. If you see the traditional media, what they were doing, that okay, we will interview, or there are textual articles, there are feature articles, there are match reports, all of these are fine. But then the kind of audience today we have to keep our content very, very much engaging, and there has to be a sense of ownership from the audience side as well, that yeah, okay, this platform is taking my words or taking my feedback. This is so important. Now content cannot be a one way process, that okay, being a publication or being a media house, that we have put out the content and we are done. The circle has just started. That the loop is, okay, you let the audience consume your content, let the audience engage with your content, and then probably pass on the content to their friends. See, especially fans, they love to hear from the sports persons about their lives or training process or the food, even the fun element of it. So we at the bridge, in this is a part of our vision, we don't want sports to be seen just winning or a losing moment, or okay, yeah, this athlete has sports, especially media, it has to be a celebration, or it has to be, the coverage has to be throughout the year, so that the momentum is there and it doesn't lose out. If you see, like for example, Olympics, it happens once in 4 year. A lot of media platforms, most of them, they become active only during Olympics, and during the rest 3 years there is no such content about okay, what the athletes are doing, who are the prospective medal winners, or what will happen, what are the good things which are happening in the sports, or what are the bad things. It's so important to talk about all of these.
And then you mentioned that the bridge covers a lot of content in rural areas and locally in general. So, how do you manage to get a sense of that space, and what challenges do you see in certain non commercial areas or covering such non commercial content?
See, challenging, obviously, it is challenging. And I will tell you, in fact, right now, so we started with English, content in English, and right now we are in total 5 languages, which is Hindi, Marathi, Bengali, and Tamil. Okay. So getting the right person to do stories, who understands the technicalities of how to write a story or how to chase a good story, it's not easy. I'll give you an example. I can find writers for English way easily than I can find a writer for Tamil or Marathi,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
Mm.
And even if I find a writer for Tamil language or Bengali or Marathi, they are more traditional in their approach. That is fine, but then you have to be adaptive, and you have to be aware of the social media and the internet trend as well. So this is where training part comes into picture. So we train them that, okay, how to do it, what are the technicalities, if you want to do live videos or whatever. So we have done a couple of very good stories from Kerala, and so what the method we are approaching right now is for, especially for regional content. After spending so much time in this industry now, almost like we know, okay, that if we have a story in Bihar, so who is the right person to contact with, or if a story is in let's say Madhya Pradesh, whom to contact with. So right now we have identified the sources for vernacular language, and this, but then this I feel this model is uh, not sustainable. This model is just a way to make the content happen. But then I really want that there has to be some solution to this. I really want the kind of people we get for our English platform, whether to write or graphic design or video editing or anchoring or anything. I wish if we get the same skilled people for regional language as well.
Can you perhaps take us through a regional campaign that went on to do really well in the past and had a massive impact?
Definitely. So I will share a very good story with you. So this happened, I think, 1.5 years back. So there is a place in Bihar. It's a village. It's called Munger. Okay, and a lady there. She runs an NGO, and so that NGO also has only girl football teams. And these girls were invited to Delhi to play in a tournament which was organized by the United Nations, some United Nations school program. And obviously, these girls, they don't come from a well-to-do families, and they have their own social battles. I mean, you cannot imagine in a place like Bihar and Munger, Bihar, where actually girls are not really encouraged to pursue careers. And then at coming from that kind of village, the girls are stepping outside, they're wearing shorts and they're playing. So this lady who runs the NGO, she reached out to me and she said that, here, she can you please help? She's like a kind of a friend to me as well. So these 16 girls players, they didn't have proper football shoes to play. At the time, the bridge was not as big as it's today in terms of the audience space. So I said, okay, let me see what I can do. So I asked one of my writer to do a story on this. It was a textual, not even a video story. It was a normal textual article story we did. And these girls were in need of some 50,000 bucks, which was to buy shoes for the 16 girls. And we ran an article, and we asked our audience that if they want to donate or something, we gave an account number of that organization. And within a span of 24 hours, people donated money, to my surprise, and it was close to, I think, 90,000 of amount. Yeah, so these girls brought their football shoes and all other elements required, and they went to Delhi. They played, and again, to my surprise, these girls won the tournament.
Oh, wow.
And you know what, Ananya, the kind of schools who participated there were schools like DPS RK Puram. where all the kids, most of the kids, they come from good family, good background, where they are financially established. And these, in fact, even United Nations tweeted about this, and we felt so good. I cannot just express you. We felt so good that because that's the impact which just a story did. And just imagine the self confidence of these girls. I mean, coming from Munger, Bihar, going to Delhi. Probably they were visiting Delhi for the first time in their lives, and then defeating schools like DPS Alkepuram. So
Hmm.
this is a brilliant story which we did. Yeah.
That's absolutely a great story. What would you say are your goals, or where do you want to take the company in the next few years?
Ananya, a lot of I come across this question that who is your competitor, or whom do you consider as your competitor? But then I don't have a reply to this question, because actually there is no single platform who is doing exactly what we are doing, because there are so many platforms and everyone is putting in so much of effort in the right direction. But then when it comes to the bridge, a lot of people say that okay, we have seen bridge gaining eyeballs in a very short span of time. So right now our readership is 1 million per month. So in the next 1 year, we want to reach out to 10 million in terms of numbers. And obviously in the next 5 years, if by God's grace, if we are able to reach out to 100 million people, that would be great. So that is our target in terms of number. And we want to be the wholesome platform where people know, I mean, everyone should know that if you want to know about any Olympic sports or any lesser known sports, go to the bridge. That is the position where I want the bridge to reach.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And lastly, do you have any words of wisdom for the next crop of sports business professionals, or skills, certain skills that they should incorporate if they want a career in sports?
Yeah, definitely. So, see, in my experience so far, what I have realized is sports industry in India is fragmented a lot, and a lot of people are putting in effort, but then it is not translating into something big, you know. And the reason is probably focus, because it is very important to know what we are doing. So to aspiring sports business professionals, if one advice, if you ask me, we have to be, the person has to be very clear about what we want to do exactly. It cannot be that okay, I want to solve this as well, that as well. That works, but then you have to take like one step at a time. That is very important. You know, at times, I'll give you my example, the bridges example. People say that why don't you cover cricket? But then, see, we have a limited bandwidth in terms of resources, and obviously, Olympic sports is our priority. Although we know that if we do cricket, then our page views will go much higher. But even then, that's a conscious choice which we have made. That no, let's stick to our exclusivity. People follow the bridge, knowing that okay, yeah, these are the people who are doing only this kind of content. So it's very important to have a clarity in the mind what we want to do.
And if I just may add to that, what specific advice would you give to other women in sports?
See, women in sports and women in general in life, I think one thing which I have learned from my journey is that we should not limit ourselves. I mean, we can do anything, and we can achieve everything which we want to. Obviously, challenges will be there, difficulties will be there, and sports is such an industry where you don't come across a lot of. I'm not talking about players, but professionals as such. You don't come across a lot of female professionals. So I feel sad about it at times. But then the only thing which I can do is probably I can encourage other people to join. In fact, you know, even in my company, when we hire, I want to have a healthy gender ratio in the company, because I've seen in most of the sports companies, you know, uh, if there are, let's say, 100 people working, then probably there'll be 10 women and 90 men. So it should not be the case. We have to make the environment and the ecosystem much more welcoming for females as well. And I mean, times are changing, and I think women should step ahead and fight every challenge and do whatever they want to do.
I think that's going to leave a lot of people very inspired and definitely and hopefully encourage other women to take part in sports. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Please don't forget to subscribe to our podcast for more such insights on the business of sports in India.